俺たちが頑張れば未来、いつかの明日にこのメダルが元に戻ってアンクにまた会えるってこと。
いつかの明日。
Kamen Rider OOO ended in 2011, and even though it ended then and there, the story received a bizarre yet understandable desire for AG and Ank's story to continue. We didn't know what we were going to get at the time, but the story did continue for good or ill. AG's story expanded in the cameos he appeared in. Well, except for his appearance in the Kamen Rider OOO movie, because that was before even the story started. Also, he was fighting Genki Sudo, the guy from World Order. Toku is wild, isn't it? AG reappeared before and after the TV series in 6 more movies. Which, by the way, to the person managing the Kamen Rider Wiki, please add Kamen Rider Heisei Generation's final build and X8 with Legend Riders featuring Dante from Devil May Cry. No, AG is not a main character, but his involvement, though very little, I'd argue has the scene that allowed the 10th anniversary movie to go into production. I may be wrong, but I'm too lazy to check at this point. I have 20 pages of blabbing to record. Okay? Alright. Before we reach the final conclusion that's hoisted to this story, we have to wade through the movies before and after the show ended. Starting with... Kamen Rider X Kamen Rider OOO and Double featuring Skull, Movie War Core, is the second movie in the Rider Tyson movie series, a set of movies I fondly remember and love. The OOO's part of the movie features Oda Nobunaga? He's my favorite historical figure, thanks Samurai Warriors. The movie bizarrely beginning with Eiji and Hina getting married? Well, not really, they're just filming a commercial. Eiji then takes part of their pay, storms off with Hina's share, and gives it away to some people he just kind of met. They're not characters in the show, and right away you can notice a kind of difference in how Eiji is written. He's kind of an airheaded himbo that's kind of gullible, which isn't the case in the show. He's very fascinated by new things, and that's why he's a traveler. Eiji is very emotionally wise, understanding of people's situations, but I don't think he's the kind of person to just give away his full paycheck along with Hina's half of that paycheck to others. He's the kind to physically help. But enough of that pedantic nonsense that doesn't really break my perception of his character. It's just an observation that stems from this movie being written by Toshiki Inoue Sensei, the man who brought us Kamen Rider Faiz. The movie is set in between episode 12 and 13, a time where they don't really have a firm understanding of who these characters are yet. So, Goto barely has any lines, Kogami functions like a maniacal anti-villain, also Eiji has the medal binder, which at this point, Ankh would never let him have. He would give him a few medals, but never their full collection. Speaking of Ankh, he also responds to a cry for help, which he would never do at this point. But let's just write that up to the attacks in the movie being related to core medals and move on. So the movie continues with Kogami using core medals to resurrect Oda Nobunaga, who escapes his facility. And then suddenly random assaults assail the city where the attacker leaves emblems related to their ancestors. Oh, I wonder who that is. After an encounter with the mysterious ancestor attacker, Eiji finds Nobunaga in the street. They feed him and Eiji teaches him the importance of and Eiji has a part-time job carrying legally distinct beer. Nobunaga assists him and joins him in his jobs. As the days pass, because of the nature as to how he was resurrected, Nobunaga is accumulating knowledge in an alarming rate. So much so that he's able to fix a software glitch by switching tabs. Woo! This allows him to get hired by the company the software is being made of, and he takes over management of the company by buying its assets. It's insane. Oh, there's also this dancer lady who's apparently Hina's classmate and is suddenly acquainted to everyone now. She's also a descendant of Akechi Mitsuhide and also reminds Nobunaga of Narashiba, his first wife, for some reason. Eventually, some shenanigans happen. Nobunaga becomes Kamen Rider Birth for a bit in lieu of Goto's protests and of Kogami just giving it to him. Which Kogami just hints at Nobunaga's limited lifespan because he's basically a Miles Warren clone and he's degenerating fast, which leads to his rampage that causes the dancer lady's leg to get injured. And 4, the purple greed to appear, which the other greed acknowledges as Gil. Who the hell is Gil? How the should I know? I made an hour-long retrospective of the show and this is the first time I've heard of the guy. The motherfucker has a fandom Wikia page and he's never appeared in the show. He's not real, goddammit! Eiji then fights Nobunaga and his medals fly away to the city of Futo. Though I do love the double half of the story, dealing with Akiko's resentment over the male half of her family, all being Kamen Riders destined to die in battle and leave her alone. This stems from her 2 best friends, fiancé, and even father being Kamen Riders. I really love this movie more for the double half of the movie more than the O's part, which I hope isn't a sacrilegious thing to say. But this is an O's video and I gotta focus on that part for now. Maybe in the future. Jumping to the point where the 2 movies converge, Kamen Rider Core is created from Nobunaga's core medals and the Rider Gaia memory extracted from Futo's memory of Skull. I don't know. Eiji has a sweet moment with Akiko which leads to Ryu telling Akiko that he's now continuing being a rider to protect everything he loves, which includes her. Eiji then has a reunion with Shotaro and Philip and they fight the giant rider monster, which ironically will not be the first time a rider movie ends with a fight with a giant rider monster. I really enjoyed my time with this movie. And it's very surprising that at this early stage in Oz's story, Eiji's lack of ambition is being called out. The underlying theme as well in the United story, addressing a misconception about Kamen Rider that they're about explosions and the overwhelming powers as a whole, which sadly a lot of the fandom hasn't moved away from yet. From the beginning of Kamen Rider, it's been about the reflection of their writer's perspective and experiences. It's why they're so emotional. The writers and the showrunners are sharing with you their feelings and said perspective. And as Eiji dances home from Rio de Janeiro, we move on to this is a movie released right after the 1000th episode special in the main series. I would hazard to say that this is more of a Deno movie than an O's movie, because it kind of is. Encountering an Imagine, that's the name of Deno Kaijin, the story starts with Ank's curiosity and maybe even greed. Hearing that Nogabi Kotaro can use the Denliner to travel through time. They hitch a ride on the Denliner and a single cell medal alters the passage of time, allowing Shocker to rule the world, which Ank senses as an overwhelming singular desire engulfing the world. This movie features a world ruled by peace. And before you protest, here's what the medal looks like. And here's what the Shocker logo looks like. If you didn't get that fact from their salute and the many times Kamen Rider clowned on the Austrian painter, maybe you need some adjustments on your lifestyle. In this movie, they're portrayed to have become the ruling class that bars people from resources for not adhering to their rule. Those opposed to them are forcibly brainwashed and stripped of their freedom. Those below them are actively hunted, and if you're familiar with other Rider seasons or media, even those chosen by Shocker are eventually turned into altered humans or Gaijin, stripped of their free will and forced to service Shocker. As Eiji and Ank search and survey the world they once lived in, some kids steal Ank's medal binder and they chase them throughout the changed city. They eventually catch up to the kids in the now ruined Kuskushir, and we're given background to the changes that occurred in the world. This movie is written by Shoji Yonemura, the writer for Kamen Rider Kabuto, the Monster Rancher anime, and he's still one of the writers for the One Piece TV anime, and boy, this movie has that rebellious freedom-seeking spirit. After being discovered by Shocker, they're chased out and cornered. AG transforms and fights off the pursuing troops, but the intervention of the now enslaved 1 and 2, along with other kaijin, overwhelms AG. The kids give back the medals they took from AG and Aang, allowing AG to transform to Ratorata and run away, only for them to be cut off by one of the scariest looking rider villains, General Shadow. The kids, along with AG and Aang, are saved by the Denliner. Teddy, Kotaro's partner, then gives an explanation to the changes that happened. Namely, that the one cell medal Aang dropped, powered up a core medal Shocker had, and the Shocker Greed's overwhelming power defeats Kamen Rider Ichigo and Nigo, turning them into slaves of Shocker, causing the other riders to never exist. And the Den-O movie starts here, where for some ungodly reason, after dropping off AG and discovering that Aang hitched another ride, there are 2 kids that came in as well, and the owner makes the mistake of leaving Aang with Momotaros, leaving a hothead in charge of another hothead. More medals drop, and they're forced to destroy those medals in hilarious fashion. They're able to repair most of the damage in history, even teaming up with Ichigo and Nigo in this era to defeat Shocker. Things go south, however, as they lose Kotaro's partner, Teddy. Ichigo and Nigo fight the awakened Shocker Greed to help them escape, and one of the kids that hitched a ride also stays to help Ichigo and Nigo. The story then reunites with AG, and we are witness to a Ryosuke Miura in 2 sets of makeup. Toku actors are awesome, man. In the climax, lol, Den-O thing. In the climax of the movie, Shocker successfully captures Kotaro, AG, and Momo Aang. A live execution for the last surviving riders occurs, which the kids, the ones who stole the medals, don the title and garb of the Junior Rider Squad and evade Shocker to deliver the O's driver to AG. With one of the kids being captured, Ichigo and Nigo reappear, intervening as the kid pours his heart out. The 2 reveals that a scientist removed their prior brainwashing, starting a fight with the standing Shocker troops. The onlooking citizens inspired, giving way and assisting the captured riders. They pass around the O's driver, and Isao Sasaki, the performer of the song Kagayaki Hachinin Raida, playing an adult version of The Child That Got Left Behind, tosses the O's driver to AG, allowing him to join the fight. However, 4 riders aren't enough to fight a small battalion of kaijin and troopers, and they're held back by Shocker. The inspired citizens move in to shield their defenders, until more riders appear. The Denliner owner proclaiming that as long as memories exist, riders will revive endlessly. This is a very goofy movie. Not that kind of goofy movie. And it's the kind of sentiment that this world kind of needs right now. The movie ends with AG using a new form, Tamashi, to defeat the Shocker Greed and all the riders performing the All-Rider Break, defeating Shocker's great leader. The movie captures the wonderful spirit of heroism that's shared between the riders and the people brave enough to embody their beliefs. This movie is basically that one quote, "The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing." AG, showing his willingness to selflessly put himself in danger, inspired the kids to do good, which inspired the people oppressed by Shocker to become heroes themselves, shielding the riders with their bodies in their time of need. It's wonderfully rebellious and sentimental. This is a celebration of how these heroes are. We close off this celebration with a great rendition of Let's Go Kamen Rider by the Kamen Rider Girls. And we open to this was a movie that I originally intended to have in the original retrospective. But I saw the runtime of that and just decided to put this here instead. The movie is written by Yasuko Kobayashi, so the characters are all consistent and we don't have to worry about weird irregularities on how the characters act. The movie starts with shenanigans Kogami is stirring up on one of his archaeological interests in Germany, accidentally unleashing an entity resealed within this here manhole, flipping part of Tokyo and replacing it with the forest in Germany. The riders enter the woods and fight medieval knights, more formidable than the usual foes they face. The Greed enter the forest as well, sensing a powerful presence, and they're met with this movie's antagonist, Gara, who easily takes the core medals from AG and the Greed. Eiji and Date, protecting a child from Gaara's attack, are knocked out of the German woods into the city. The boy introduces himself as Wakaba Shun, who evades Eiji's questions as to why he was wandering in the German woods. Searching among Kogami's research, Date and Goto discovers the identity of Gaara, one of the alchemists who created the core medals slain by the original O's. Gaara makes his presence known, offering people 5 million yen in exchange for a permanent top knot. And the first dude in line is freaking Kaido from Kamen Rider Faiz. I'm gonna be adamant and say this is Kaido. He's impulsive, gullible, and hey, he's probably teaching someone to play guitar from that getup. This deal allows Gaara to amass a ton of cell medals, receiving the amount depending on the weight of the desires of the person who accepts his deal. With enough power, Gaara is again able to flip another part of the city, this time sending it to Edo, along with Shun, Hina, Ankh, and Date's medal tank and the birth driver. This sudden shift causes chaos among the people displaced and the people of Edo. More chaos being caused by Gaara sending the Nue Yami against Eiji. Hina's quick thinking allows Eiji to use the birth driver and fight as Kamen Rider Birth, while a peculiar distinguished man watches among the crowd. The Nue Yami attacks some civilians, Eiji shielding them with his own body, enduring heavy damage. The Yami then sets his sights on Ankh, Hina, and Shun, Ankh moving to defend the two. In this scuffle, the Condor and Kujaku medals are stolen from Ankh, as Gaara intended. As the Yami retreats, the citizens begin to fight again, but the distinguished man stands up for Eiji, witnessing his act of nobility in the previous battle. The man introduces himself as Tokuda Shinosuke, who is the main character of another TV show called Abarenbo Shogun, with Ken Matsudaira reprising his role. I don't know much about this show, but apparently, it ran for 30 years, and it says a lot about how beloved this character could have been. Imagine being the dad who took their kid to see this movie and seeing his favorite character from a long time ago. I think that'd be a good bonding moment. As they wander the merged lands, they encounter the Kuskushir. Chiyoko still running the restaurant, feeding the Edo people ice cream, much to Ankh's distress. Meanwhile, Gaara is easily fulfilling his plan, flipping another part of Japan into the freaking Jurassic Age, unleashing dinosaurs into the city. Let's establish a few things before we continue. This movie is set before, let's say, Date leaving Japan for his surgery. He's still the user of the main birth driver, and more importantly, Eiji has not learned how to control the purple medals yet. Also, Ankh has not left for his own purposes, and the greed are still mostly alive. This concern about the purple medals is raised when Ankh counts their medals, with Shun asking about the body Ankh is possessing. Hina coping that while her brother sleeps, at least she's still close and connected to him. That night, Shun reveals that Gaara's current vessel is his mother, resulting from him storming off in frustration that he won't be able to hang out with his mother on his birthday. His mother instead telling him they'll have lunch in the park, telling him to wait in that park near the land where the first land was transformed. Shun witnessing his mother being taken by the cell medals that appeared when Gaara awakened, thinking she became a monster because of him. Eiji comforts the distressed child, reminding him that Gaara possessed his mother. They find the food his mother prepared, a sign that his mother still waited for him at the park that day. Eiji and Hina sharing a moment together with the boy, forming a makeshift family. Meanwhile, Kogami makes a bet with Gaara to make a deal with Eiji to tempt his desires. Kogami trusting the world to Eiji, his belief that desires will bring forth new potential and beginnings. Date and Goto working on breaking the barrier protecting Gaara's castle in the hopes of saving the others. The morning comes and Gaara's minions march through the Japanese village, Ankh offering his last medal as a fighting chance. That as long as Eiji doesn't lose it, Ankh can be restored, ironically foreshadowing the end of the series. Eiji transforms and fights, but the sheer number of enemies he faces overwhelm him, and as he's beaten and laid down in defeat, Tokuda Shinosuke arrives to aid him, deftly and elegantly fending off Gaara's soldiers with the back of his sword. Along with him, the citizens of both past and future, fighting alongside them. With the Nue Yami out of allies, it retreats, but is cut off by Eiji and Shin, with Shin granting Eiji the 3 orange medals of reptiles, Cobra, Kame, Wani, forming Burakawani, And I love this form, especially the legs. The head is a snake charmer head. I know, kind of an outdated concept, especially with the head forming a kind of turban. But it results in AG using the cobra on his head and the newest tail to fight. And I don't know, that's kind of fun. The turtle arms are shields that double as battering rams. The alligator legs forms an alligator's jaws, making Oz's kicks alligator bites. And now, you know who my favorite build rider is. Buraka Wani's finisher is Oz sliding through the ground, guided by Oz's rings, delivering a devastating final bite to his enemy. With this defeat, one of Gaara's bells appear to offer AG the bet. Him alone can return home, with everyone in the village, regardless of era, to disappear in exchange. However, AG bargains to let his family go with him, and Gaara's bell approves, with AG accepting this proposal. With a little caveat, never forget AG's dream. The dream the unicorn Yummy was overwhelmed to destroy. Gaara's scale overflows. AG treats the world his family. It's why he's a traveler. It's why he reaches out to others. Kogami claims his victory, that desire can save the world. AG, Ankh, Hina, and Shun return home. Date and Goto use the Burst Scorpion to breach Gaara's barrier to make way for AG. Kogami's fate being rewarded. The final battle against Gaara begins, with Satonaka getting some overtime. Gaara absorbs a massive amount of cell medals and transforms into his final monster form, the fight allowing Shun's mother to break free from Gaara's possession. AG successfully reaching out to her hand and pulling her out. Gaara seemingly getting his second wind, only to be disturbed by Kisaragi Gentaro, who we'll hear a little bit more in the next movie. Gentaro using AG as a weapon, throwing him into Gaara. A reunion with Date and Hina distracts AG, Gaara taking this chance to steal his purple medals, placing them in a tablet he was filling with medals throughout the movie. With the tablet fully filled, Gaara uses it to transform into a giant dragon, which, to my disappointment, is just called his monster form. This is Gaara's way of attempting to use all the medals to transform like the original king did before he got sealed. We could have called this form like Drago's form or something? Something more creative. AG and Date tries to fight the monster, but Date gets flown away somewhere. And then, Uva interjects and gives AG his green medals. He transforms to Gatakiriba, allowing him to multiply. The other greed follows suit, giving him their medals as well. And so, the most amazing transformation sequence begins. AG transforming into every combo form he's been able to change to. Date backing him up with the full power breast cannon, performing every finishing attack in his arsenal. The movie ends with Shun reuniting with his mother, and AG tricking Ankh to letting Hina hold her brother's hand. Hina holding AG's hand as well, foreshadowing again the show's ending. The three heading home as a family. If it wasn't really all obvious before, I love this movie. It's a simple movie that enriches the characters we enjoyed in the main series. AG just being an amazing human being, cleverly bypassing Gaara's bet to encompass everyone as his family. It's very corny, but it's very honest to AG as a person. The character writing is also on point, with characters acting the way they do in the main show, with a little revelation that Kogami is a descendant of the original O's, explaining how his obsession in using human desire to benefit humans in general. The movie's story itself about the value of family and their bonds. From Shun and his mother, Hina and her brother, AG with Hina, Ankh and the rest of his found family, to AG uniting the displaced citizens and the citizens of old Japan as family. Different interpretations of family and how they interact with each other. The mending of one familial relationship, the main through line of the plot. ending with one of the best transformation sequences realized in Kamen Rider. The three central characters holding hands in the end heading home, unaware of the tragic end to their story. After the events of this movie, Date successfully collects 100 billion yen. Eiji learns to use the purple dinosaur medals, setting his path of turning into a greed. Aang loses 3 of his core medals and leaves to join Dr. Maki and eventually to turn against Eiji. The two eventually fighting each other on the seaside, leading to them fighting side by side to stop Dr. Maki, their victory coming at the cost of Aang's life, something he's desired more than anything. The finale of Kamen Rider OOO aired on August 28, 2011 and is succeeded by Kamen Rider Forze. First appearing in the Wonderful Shogun movie, this season follows Gentaro Kisaragi's life as a student in Amanokawa High as its aforementioned hero. Like Double NO's, this movie happens in between episode 14 and 15 for Forze. So, the succeeding show is already far a long way but still establishing its characters and setting. One of the purposes of the Rider War movies is to give the definitive ending of the show that came before the newer season. It's a baton pass and I love the idea of these movies. The last one we saw that was kind of like this movie was Kamen Rider Reiwa the first generation, I think. But I kinda get why they stopped doing these. They kind of got too convoluted. These could have gotten in the way of filming the current seasons, and the biggest reason could be the availability of the actors. The talent agency business in Japan is very complicated and confusing, but well worth looking into in the future. But let's get into the reason for that introduction. So, due to the events of the anniversary movie, this movie has the most interesting implications for the continuity of this story. This movie opens with a meteor shower and its effects observed by our principal characters. The meteors opening a rift by the sea. The Showa Riders then make an appearance in a fight with henchmen around the world who are pursuing these meteors. Stronger, in particular, identifying them as part of the organization Foundation X, first introduced in Kamen Rider Double. The first part is the O's part, taking place after the end of the main series, the Kogami Foundation investigating the mysterious rift that appeared in the coast of a city. A portal connected to the future where Kamen Rider Poseidon, a rider from said future, emerges. Using core medals created by Kogami himself, fruits of experiments he initiated just recently. Eiji revealed to be part of this effort to use these new core medals for peace. You know, it's kind of sad that Kogami is one of the only few billionaires I can identify as good people. Because, reality sucks right now, man. I hope there's a Kogami in real life. Anyway, revealed by Satonaka Tuhina, on their way to meet Eiji, a troop of trash yummy ambushes them led by Poseidon. Eiji himself being knocked away by Poseidon, Date Akira and Goto appearing to fight the future rider. The two births sadly not strong enough to face him. But, while he's distracted, Eiji is revealed to be an Ankh taking Eiji's form, stealing the core medals in Poseidon's body. The medals within him revealed to be the core medals that were absorbed by the black hole that ended Dr. Maki. Ankh passing the medals to the actual Hino Eiji, who transforms into Kamen Rider OOO. Ankh passing a variety of core medals, showcasing a different set of forms in a fight scene showing how fun OOO's powers are. As Poseidon is bested, Eiji requests Ankh to, not use his face because it's creepy. Gathering in Kuskushir, Eiji, Hina, Ankh, and Chiyoko enjoy a moment together, showing the ability to feel joy in a time where they're in danger. Poseidon's yummies cutting their reunion short, and man, do they trash the Kuskushir set. It really shows that they're not gonna use it anymore. Pictures are broken, tables are thrown, enemies are tossed around. It's a great untransformed fight scene. The only, I think, minor criticism I can give is there is a lot of shaky cam. I can't show you because I don't want my small hobby channel to be knocked into orbit. But man, it kind of makes me dizzy. But it's still a fun fight. They face Poseidon again, but this time, Eiji is able to reach out to him and release the mind of Poseidon's vessel away from his control. The future rider introduces himself as Miharu, originally a rider who uses the power of water, who's unable to fight because he's afraid of water. Ank laughing is not a continuity error, by the way. I will tell you why later. The Poseidon driver revealed to be an invention of Kogami in the future, a loss leading him to the location of the other end of the black hole from the O's finale. The driver and Miharu absorbing the medals that were flung into the future by Maki's end. That night, Poseidon gains control of Miharu again and tries to off Eiji and Ank. A ruse concocted by the two allowed them to take more medals from Poseidon's body, who was unaware of this plan. Frustrated by this, Poseidon constitutes his own body from medals, abandoning Miharu, discovering the taste of his own desire, the desire for battle. He starts rampaging like a greed. Kogami points them to where Poseidon is heading, patting himself in the back for being its kind of creator. Before they leave, Hina gifts Eiji some underwear, Miharu asking them how they can act so positively in a desperate situation. They head off to fight Poseidon, Eiji reassuring Miharu that he'll be able to do what they do in the future. Eiji and Ank face Poseidon, who summons a group of trash yummy against them, Eiji asking Ank how he returned, with Ank deflecting the question. Date, Goto, Satonaka, and Miharu eventually join to fight Poseidon, Miharu transforming into Kamen Rider Aqua, showing off his very Showa-inspired suit. They defeat Poseidon and Miharu returns to the future, with Ank following suit. Eiji revealing that he hasn't restored his medals yet. Ank appearing from the future to assure Eiji that one day he'll succeed in restoring him. This sweet ending is interrupted by 3 Foundation X scientists led by Len Kanagi, who steals the future medals from Eiji. This continues with a double section where Philip refuses to transform into Double, forcing Shotaro to transform into Kamen Rider Joker instead. Oh, and Foundation X goons can summon Yami from themselves? Cool. Shotaro's fight with them releasing a vat of goo. Oh, and the scientist guy traps the Showa Riders. These events leading to the second third of the movie, which is the fourth half, dealing with Gentaro's first love. It's really cute, an exploration of young love, the feeling of love prevailing over superficiality. Gentaro valuing Nadeshiko's true personality, loving her as the Solyu slime girl that she is rather than the form she took. It's not the best of stories, but it's very, very enjoyable. The movie converging with Eiji, Gentaro, Shotaro, and Philip meeting to fight Foundation X. Shotaro and Philip briefs Eiji and Gentaro on Foundation X and their plan. Len Kanagi scheming to use Solyu's cosmic energy and the future core medals to obtain the power to control the planet's energy and take over the world.
Of course!
Along with Double, the freed Showa Riders fight against the duplicates of the main Double dopants and duplicates of the Greed. Eiji and Gentaro face against Kanagi, who uses the future medals and the Solyu switch to become Super Mario Galaxy King, who is bested after an arduous fight. Work begins on restoring everything back to normal. Date and Goto joining Hina and Chiyoko in cleaning the Kuskushier. Hina eagerly looking to their future and Eiji restarting his journey to restore Ank's medal. It will be 6 more years before we see Eiji and Ank again. And it comes from the movie Kamen Rider Build is set in a universe that's different from the previously established post-Kamen Rider Decade world, because Kamen Rider Build's plot concerns Japan being separated into 3 different territories, and it wouldn't really make sense to have Futo or the mysterious unnamed Kansai location of O's to exist in one of those areas. So, how do the other Legend Riders appear? Through the plot of a villain called Kasei Mogami, the Left Kaiser, who creates a machine called Enigma, a machine that would enable him to access other worlds. His main plan is to cause an incursion. Suck it, Marvel fans, we've been doing this for years. To combine himself with himself from another dimension, the Right Kaiser, gain immortality, and become the Bi Kaiser, ruler of bisexuals. I didn't invent that. He really calls himself that. It actually takes 40 minutes before Eiji appears in this movie, revealing that the Right Kaiser is part of Foundation X, located in... Okay, what the f***? He's doing experiments in that? Who wouldn't notice that? It's a pitch black tower in the middle of the city. Come on. During Wright Kaiser's villain monologue, he taunts AG that he can't transform. But like, AG and Ankh was able to retrieve the time-displaced core medals. The only medals lost was the one Poseidon's used? Sure, I guess. Mogami unleashes the greed he duplicated with Foundation X's technology, including Ankh, who in the battle is knocked out of the tower. AG jumps out to save him, and Ankh's broken medal resonates with the duplicate's body, allowing him to revive, giving us this scene. Here it is, the scene that I would argue became the catalyst that built interest in a 10th anniversary movie, and it's just a cutscene. With this, AG joins the battle, with his battle team blaring, steering our emotions, and it's fun. It's like the O's battle in Megamax again, and it's really fun. After the main climax of the movie, AG, out of all the guest stars in this movie, gets the saddest epilogue of them all, handing off a sea salt ice cream to Ankh, Ankh shedding a tear before his temporary body fades away, his broken medal dropping into its ashes.
If I had a nickel for every time a character connected to sea salt ice cream disappeared in front of their best friends, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice.
Kamen Rider OOO この後すぐ
Ironically enough, while I was writing this, I was quite hesitant to finish this essay. I wanted to just normally review the movies and get through the anniversary movie. But the anniversary movie itself kind of complicated things. I enjoyed my rewatch of the series and the movies, but at the same time, at the back of my mind, questioned why the story needed to continue. An open ending doesn't always need an explanation. AG traveling the world again in the hopes of granting his friend's wish to experience life, that's a fine ending. It's a wish that, in my opinion, didn't need to come true. But let's go back to what the main show wanted to do for his character. To summarize, AG was a wealthy person with powerful parents. But instead of using his wealth and power to enrich himself, AG used what he was blessed with to help those in need. One day, during one of his fundraisers, AG was caught in a civil war, and the local village nursed him back to health. He then in turn helped these people. But in an unfortunate turn of events, an army thought that they were receiving aid from an opposing force. The village was attacked and AG struggled to help them, but failed. Too weak to save even the life of a child. AG being set free with a ransom payment paid by his parents, saving him and only him. We are not told if there were any other survivors, but from how AG looked when he recounts that story, we can guess that they suffered a terrible fate. His family then modified his experience, taking his story to further their political popularity and standing. This destroys AG's ability to desire anything for himself, wandering the world to help others with just the clothes on his back and a pair of underwear he can use the next day. The story of Oz then started. Receiving the power of Oz granted him the power to reach out to more people. The events of the series granting him a desire that slept within his very soul. The power to no longer fail to reach out to those in need. But the story in the end tells him to let go. Something that he refuses to do. Throughout Oz, there's also a sub-theme of vessels. Ankh using Shingo, Maki's goal to create a vessel of the world's destruction, AG as the vessel of Oz, and the Greed's desire to have a complete vessel for their desire. AG as a vessel uses what he has in the moment to give it all to others. And I kind of need to expand my interpretation of AG as the purple medals has chosen. The purple medals are described to have the desire of nothing. Maki was accepted because of his desire to end the world, depriving the world of all desire. But AG? No. I think AG was chosen for another reason. This is a ceramic bowl used for tea, displaying fruits, eating rice. Its purpose is to be filled and emptied again until it's filled and emptied again. But what happens when it breaks? Normally, these are thrown away. But Japan has an art form called kintsugi. It's an art form that repairs pottery with a special lacquer mixed with metallic powder, showing beauty in one's broken art. AG is a kintsugi bowl. Not only does he empty himself of desire, but as O's, he voluntarily breaks himself over and over and over, only mended by the desire to reach those who needs him, along with those who care enough to not let him break apart. And this, I think, makes AG the ultimate vessel for the purple medals, granting him the power to reach out, allowing him to empty himself and break himself repeatedly. A true greed, tasting but cursed to never be filled.
仮面ライダーオースこの後すぐ
All that's left are some short films and the 10th anniversary movie. Let's get into those. There's two 5-minute prequels that come before the anniversary movie, and they should really just have been in the final movie. Since Birth X is, I think, kind of a side story, we'll get into that first.
オーズ10周年仮面ライダーバース X 参上秘話
The prologue begins with Kogami greeting Satonaka on her birthday, Date updating us on the state of the world and how Goto has a wife and kid now. The said wife being the reason Goto agreed to join Kogami fight the king, giving him 3 artificial core medals that will activate Birth X. The artificial core medals being the 3 medals that are originally Nobunaga's. The short properly starting with the 4 attempting to activate Birth X, where a power surge transports Goto into an alternate dimension, where the purple greed is still alive, Hina is O's, Chiyoko is Birth, Anki is Dr. Maki, Mezul is Eiji's sister, Kasali is Eiji's brother, Gamil is just some guy who Eiji knows randomly, and Uva is also Eiji's brother who is Hina's bitch. Oh, and Date fills the Kogami role and is also evil. The episode ending with the 4 greed cheering Goto to activate the artificial core medals. He defeats Date as the purple greed and get back home confident in the new power they obtained to able to match that of the king. This is a very goofy special, leaning more into humor and not in the charming way Let's Go Kamen Rider was. Probably because, spoiler alert, the anniversary movie is goddamn miserable in comparison. And unfortunately, this is the most screen time we have with the greed, and it's a really fun world to explore. Hina as O's looks amazing. Chiyoko as Birth looks amazing. Uva being Hina's comic sidekick is pretty hilarious. It's also always a joy to see Honoka Yahagi as Mezul, who at this time of writing is married and looks amazing. The cast overall looks great after all these years, and it's fun to see them in this setting.
ネット版仮面ライダーオーズ
The second prologue is in the thick of the danger the world is experiencing. Eiji jumping in to save Chiyoko and Hina, who's ambushed by a revived Kazali. Eiji telling Hina that he's found a way to revive Ankh, and I get that people had a bad reaction to how Ankh's medal is restored, but it makes sense with who Ankh is and what the desire he was born from and what he wants. This prologue leads us to our final movie. Ankh hears a voice calling out to him, calling him to revive. His medal restored. He recognizes the voice to be Eiji, awakening to a ruined world, his last memory passing away. Witnessing a resistance force that includes Hina, Chiyoko, and Shingo, fighting a fully resurrected greed. Seeing Shingo in danger, Ankh jumps in and possesses his body, taking him out of the battle. But the greed aren't the only ones resurrected. The ancient king appears and repels the small army. Goto no match against a group of greed. Eiji appearing to Ankh to give him his old clothes, telling him where he's hiding and to ask the others what happened to the world. The ever-frustrated Ankh asks the survivors what happened to the world, Kogami updating him on what happened. His ancestor, the king, revived along with the other greeds, laying waste to the city. Hina recalls to Ankh Eiji's final battle against the king, Eiji protecting a child from his wrath, suffering a grave attack from the king, everyone hoping he's still alive. Ankh revealing to them that he was able to meet him. Following Eiji's directions, Ankh and Hina do meet Eiji, who asks Ankh for his help in defeating the king, in exchange for his medals and some ice pops. But Ankh notices something wrong. This Eiji is abrasive, mentioning the child he saved died because it was her fate. Ankh sensing core medals inside Eiji's body. Uva attacks under orders of the king, with Ankh's suspicion being confirmed. Besides the prologue, this is the first proper fight scene in the movie, and it's absolutely well choreographed. The updated CGI tech serving this movie really well. Stealing a Kuwagata and Kamakiri medal from Uva, Eiji transforms into Gatakiriba, defeating Uva with its finisher, reducing him into a single medal. A medal he attempts to destroy, only stopped by Ankh. Goto and Date confronting Eiji, confirming Ankh's suspicion. Possessed by a greed named Goda, an artificial greed created by Kogami, basing Goda's creation on Eiji's desire. With this reveal, Goda confirms that Eiji is not injured. He is dead. Goda expresses that he wants to cooperate with Ankh to defeat the king. He uses Eiji's voice and mimics his mannerisms to Ankh's dismay and irritation, ironically inflicting him with the same emotional turmoil he inflicted to Hina and Eiji. Ankh now in a similar situation to Hina in the show, believing that Eiji is still alive inside of Goda, displaying determination he learned from Hina herself. Ankh declaring to her that he'll use Goda for this end. A conversation Goda overhears. Goda walks away from this, Date and Goto confronting him. The two are amused by Goda acting like Eiji. Goto telling Godo that he'll never match Eiji because he's not willing to sacrifice himself to save a life, with Goda declaring he'll be Eiji the way he wants to. Meanwhile, the king absorbs the four other greed, and that's the end of their screen time. The fused body having Tamashi's shoulder horns, Taka's head, Tora's right arm, Kamakiri's left arm, Pata's thighs, Zo's right foot, and Tako's left foot. His chest symbol showing the four greed, with the suit having a naturally weathered look serving the king's overall aesthetic. It's pretty cool, I think. The king commences another attack alone, with Goto and Date fighting at a huge disadvantage. Date telling Goto to retreat and retrieve Birth X. Goda and Ankh arriving to face the king. And to my surprise, brandishes Nobunaga's sword from the core movie. The king puts Goda in the back foot, wielding both the Medjalibur and Nobunaga's sword. Ratorata being easily defeated, with Ankh letting himself absorb to protect Eiji's body. The king not knowing his plan, to steal a set of medals made to destroy Desire, allowing Goda to transform to Putu Taira. Ankh's gambit allowing him to steal all 10 of his medals and reclaim his body. At least that's what I think happens, because it allows him to reconstruct his full body after being separated to Shingo. There is a lot of confusing things that's happening in this movie. With the king's defeat, his essence along with all the other core medals float into the air, Goda looking longingly at them. The desire that Goda gravitated in Eiji was never his desire to help others. It was his desire for power. Hence Goda wanting to be Eiji his own way. Goda transforms to Kamen Rider Goda, which is separate from the Muchikiri combo, which was the medals he was using. Speaking of the Mukachiri combo, that was from a game called Memory of Heroes, and I realized that I may cover that game in the future. But not today though, not today. Goda's armor features a mask and greaves that look better than the previously mentioned Mukachiri combo, having longer claws and still having the greed core in his chest. Ankh, not having any chance of beating Goda in his form, is knocked down and reduced to his arm. And when Goda attempts to kill him, Eiji stops Goda, asking Aang to run. Aang refuses. With this resistance, Goda expels Eiji's body, Aang possessing him to save his life. Goto arrives with Birth X, Date and Goto fighting together to hold back Goda. Meanwhile, inside Eiji's mind, Ryosuke Miura breaks his back carrying this movie, asking him why he had to die. Eiji revealing how he revived Aang by giving him what he desired most. With what's remaining of Eiji's life, he resurrects Aang. He never had the chance to revive, no matter how long Goda possessed him. In tears, Aang agrees to Eiji's final request, to fight alongside him one last time. Date and Goto put up a good resistance against Goda, but are unfortunately jobbed out of the movie. So much for Birth X. Aang now the one saying Eiji's words to him in the show's final episode, transforming into maybe one of the most beautiful Kamen Rider forms in both design, concept, and story. Tahador Eternity. In design, following Tahador, but having Aang's symbol on his crest, having peacock plumes as his scarf, and now having Aang's full color scheme. The form a synthesis of Eiji granting Aang's wish to experience life. Needless to say, Aang defeats Goda. The battle ends and Eiji pushes him out of his body. As Eiji lies dying, Satonaka brings the child Eiji saved, glad to see that the child survived, satisfied that he was able to save a life in the end. The movie ending with Eiji's death, Aang standing amongst the battlefield with Hina. Anything Goes playing for the last time. I like this movie, but man, does it have a lot of flaws. Let's try to hash out the things we can probably explain, and I'll try to wrap my head around some of the things that really bothered me. So this movie canonizes some of the movies. The king uses Nobunaga's sword, but there's no trace of any other rider. A little thing that bothered me. Remember that girl Eiji saved? She was also in the prologue. And from then up to the end of the movie, she has the same dirt marks on her face. They never bothered to clean her after Eiji saved her. Couldn't they just take some time to wipe her face at least? That's so weird, man. Also, what a waste of good design Birth X is. It's a wonderful looking suit that's wasted by jobbing Goto out of the fight. They should have either introduced it as a faulty prototype that puts it in your mind that he's gambling on this suit, and it not just a full episode of selling how cool it is, only for it to be thrown aside afterwards. Also, didn't the king ask alchemists to make the medals? Does the king have knowledge of alchemy to create either more medals or another Oz driver? Where was he hiding all this time after the greed resurrected? This movie raises so many questions in its rush for a conclusion. We could have gotten more time to explain that. Also, this movie has a lot of callbacks and flashbacks from Aang using his classic costume when he didn't actually need to. I kind of preferred the black jacket look. Even the battle fatigues Shingo had was cool enough to be the featured look from the entirety of the movie. The various callbacks that lead to flashbacks, like when Hina holds Aang's hand, we directly flash back to that. Uwa surviving as a single medal, running to live another day. Aang and Hina repeating lines from the show. To even Goda referencing the time Aang told Eiji not to worry about Oz's songs. I think it's a way for them to show that Goda is trying to connect to the rest of the cast, but it's not just presented in a good way, and it's not translating very well, especially to what he did in the end. So this movie was written by Nobuhiro Mori, who's the backup writer for Oz. And he's a good writer if you let him cook and when he's supervised by the main writer. He wrote one of the best episodes in Ghost, the one with this moment. This movie is barely 60 minutes long and it's very referential to the original series, which in my opinion, the time used for those references could have been used to explore the movie's main journey. Aang finally receiving life but losing the person that taught him how precious the life he wanted was. The price of Pinocchio's wish was to not have Jiminy Cricket.
仮面ライダーオーズこの後すぐ
物語がエンドマークで
完成するように人もまた死で完成する
Dr. Maki's philosophy is that a story ending is what completes it. A person's end completes them. This is ironically true for AG in this movie, chillingly fulfilling Dr. Maki's philosophy but not in the way he intended. Instead, like Goda, AG defined Kyoto Maki's thesis in his own way, helping others whenever he went, allowing the stories of others to continue in the risk of ending his own. The reason I watched all the other movies alongside this final one was because I already knew the ending. I spoiled myself on it. After it launched, there was a bitter reception to it and I was really curious why. And I really totally get where they're coming from. I do think that AG passing and giving his life to another is a poetic end. The movie is very flawed, capitulating to a lot of fan demand, but not in the most satisfying manner. But this is what we got. And it's not like a few flaws makes a piece of media unworthy of experiencing. That kind of thinking should be abandoned. Because this movie still has a lot of highlights. Goda is an interesting foil for Aang, inflicting the same manipulations he once did to AG and Hina, now directly inflicted against him. AG's ending, ironically fulfilling Maki's thesis, but in his own way, is an interesting twist. Although, I'm not sure if that's intentional. The original king resurrecting as the villain of the movie's first half? That's really good! Finally seeing how powerful he is and the transformation of using all of the core medals is an interesting concept. Goda stealing that power is very well set up. Him being a dark reflection of Aang, who was able to instead take all the power he wants and become a creature more powerful than any greed, while also feeding off of AG's desire for power, twisting AG's desire to justify his own. Aang becoming Oz is, in my opinion, the correct conclusion to AG's story, giving away his life for someone who wants it. The way Aang's medal was restored and how he was resurrected, I think kind of makes sense. Suffice to say, my preferred ending of Kamen Rider OOO is the Megamax movie. 10th anniversary movie be damned. It gives us hope that AG will eventually succeed in resurrecting Aang without giving us too much as to how he did it. We're told he did it but didn't say how, and Aang silently returns. But the 10th anniversary movie took elements from that movie and incorporated them well. Aang being able to transform into AG could be a sign that he's actually using the real appearance of the body he's using. Aang could have easily just mirrored AG's journey of restoring him to possessing AG's body, finding out it doesn't have his soul and consciousness, and journeying to find a way to restore him. Aang not speaking a word to AG and Hina after he left could be because Aang is too emotional to speak to them further. Him earnestly laughing at Aqua's circumstances, enjoying a moment that he will never enjoy anymore? A moment with the person that never gave up on teaching him how important human life is? A life he's possibly now enjoying with the body of the now person he resides in. The anniversary movie kind of colors the Oz section of the Megamax movie in a different light, framed as now a tragic moment where a friend relives his happiest moments just to say goodbye again. But some of just what I said comes in the realm of fan fiction. Do I wish the anniversary movie was better? Yes. Do I wish they explained how the king somehow returned? Yes. Do I wish Birth X was not tossed aside? Yes. Do I wish that the greed had more screen time? 100 times yes. in the interest of ending this video in a less dour note, let's have a bit of fun and try to propose some improvements. Also, don't tell me if any of these are like explained in the novels or stage shows, because I'm very oozed out at the moment. Skip to this time if you're not interested in these kinds of discussions.
Jack tried an experiment to boost his hindsight levels. But then a freakish accident occurred when a retroactive spider got into the equipment. The reporter's hindsight was blasted to superhuman levels. For months, he was able to use his new powers for good, fighting for peace and the American way.
Let's start with the king. Let's say the king returned with the greed in the beginning of the series, but was left alone in the rubble of the warehouse. The greed thinking he died after Kogami's men blew up the building. The king was revived, but as a weak, emaciated human. The first responders retrieving his unresponsive body from the rubble. Kogami placing him under his care after the events of the show, learning of someone who's like Nobunaga is now amassing knowledge and fulfilling people's desires. The man visiting the places where the greed fell, appearing to be able to reconstitute their broken medals. Kogami intercepts this person and puts him in hibernation, learning his lesson after Nobunaga. Meanwhile, in wherever they're developing Goda, a random employee fumbles a cell medal and accidentally allows Goda to create a small vessel in the form of a left arm in a scene mirroring the beginning of the show and a callback to the Shocker Greed. Causing chaos in the facility, Goda finds Dr. Maki's research notes enticed by the power of the medal vessel. Since Goda's desire is to amass power with no goal, he finds where the king is along with the medals AJ and Aang obtained from the Megamax movie. The same medals lost from the final episode retrieved from Poseidon. Remember, only the Poseidon medals were destroyed when AJ and Gentaro beat the Galaxy King. Goda, as a left arm, proceeds to create an opening to the king's containment and begins to scheme on how to obtain more power for himself, intending to possess the king himself. Instead, the king awakens and repels Goda along with the security people chasing him. The king continues to use the knowledge he amassed and the medals he created to reconstitute the greed, creating his own O's driver, transforming into ancient Tatuba. Whether they're the same greed is... but for the purposes of this section, let's just say, yeah, sure. But with these events, it establishes that the king has most of the medals they collected and lost before. Maybe even mention that the Kogami Foundation was able to recover some of the Foundation X medals and restore some of those as well. Or you can reveal that the king was also able to access information about Foundation X. Let's do as much as we can to establish how menacing the king is before saying that he is a real threat. From there, AG gets called back to Japan, only to then be trapped in the same predicament as when Gaara appeared, isolating part of the city. And not just say offhand that the king destroyed the world in a Japan that has a ton of superheroes in it. A shot of Shotaro and Gentaro, maybe even other riders at this point, outside the limits where the king created his barrier, locking AG out of getting any help. The prologue stays the same. AG fights casually while Chiyoko and Hina help people in the city, but everyone takes time to arm themselves instead of like being in Mad Max with no prior explanation. This time we get a scene with Kogami informing everyone involved in what happened. The new impetus of the story now stemming from an accident rather than Palpatine suddenly came back, including a scene where Goto introduces his daughter to everyone. Kogami then gives AG the remaining core medals they were able to scour from the facility and inform Goto and Date that they created a birth upgrade prototype but it's not functioning in a stable manner, prone to malfunction. The day after, the king mounts an attack in a busy section of the city, Goto rushing first, witnessing his family in the same place. Using Birth X in desperation, putting up a great fight, taking down several Yami before needing to be dealt with by the king himself. Date and AG arrive, but the greed also arrive, giving the king backup. This leads us to the same events as the movie, but this time the girl is a little more important to the plot. I get it, AG will save anyone, not just the people he knows, but this time saving this girl comes from agency and urgency rather than the vague thing we got from the anniversary. After resurrecting Ankh, Goda finds and steals AG's body, sensing his former desire for power, only reading that desire for power and not his purpose for it. I think that's a good part of Goda, and I think we should keep it. After this battle, Goto feels terrible guilt for using Birth X, knowing its flaws. Date reassuring him it's what AG would have done. In turn, Goto comforts and reassures his child that everything will be fine, resolving to improve Birth X however they can. We then turn the Birth X short into an after story where Goto reconciles his previous guilt, and instead of the weird cheerleading scene, Chiyoko and Hina team up with Birth X to defeat the Purple Greed. Now, back to the main rewrite we're doing. The barrier is still erect and able-bodied people are fighting to resist the king. The Greed asking why trap the people and just expand. The king explains that he's preparing for the threats lying outside, amassing power like Gaara did. The king feeding off of the people's desire for their own lives to return, their freedom, for revenge, etc. The city becoming a mass of desire born from the king's oppression. This will allow us to address the lack of other riders as well as an external goal for the king himself. Jumping to when Ankh steals medals from the king's body, let's confirm that Ankh receives all 10 of his medals inside that body. The king did absorb all of the medals and possibly made more. This way, Ankh can appear in his form as Shingo while not needing to possess him after the story. We are then going to confirm that Ankh did take AG's body, intending to find a way to restore it, like how AG found a way to restore him. Ankh is able to display a lot of emotional complexity. Let this be the catalyst for him to finally give rather than take. The ending this time instead, him asking Chiyoko, Hina, Shingo, and the rest to help learn to live like a human. Now acting close as he was in the Megamax movie. Still a bit edgy but now quieter. The end now a promise to someday restore AG and let him live the rest of his life the way he wants to. The story closing off its own loop like an infinity symbol with a third loop. And that's all the movies from Kamen Rider OOO, along with some small fan fiction. I still love this show and series. I said the anniversary is beautiful in the last video, and I still mean that, but I wouldn't deny any of its flaws and shortcomings. I'm a bit torn on it because this may be the last time we'll be able to see this cast together. But even though I'm a little disappointed in some of the choices made in this last movie, yeah, I'll still say I still like it. Kamen Rider OOO is a fan favorite for a reason. The cast is one of the biggest reasons for it. Whether you'll count this movie in your mind is all up to you. But I watched 5 other movies and 1 15-minute episodes and 2 shorts. So I really did enjoy my time with this. My point being, even if you didn't like the anniversary movie, Hino AG still has a lot of adventures worth revisiting. The fact that the 10th anniversary movie was ever made is a miracle, especially if you take into consideration how Japanese talent agencies work. It also paved the way for future projects like the Agito Psychic War and the upcoming Kabuto anniversary movie. Whether those will be good is, it depends. But having the chance to see characters from someone's favorite season is always good. And that's it for me for now. I may do the Kamen Rider Memory of Heroes game someday. I don't know. When I get more subs or something, like 10k, whatever. Anyway, see you in the next video. Like, sub, share. Have a good one.